Now we're going to talk about the liver flushing. This is why we need to flush the liver. Yeah. When the liver is backed up, when we're not getting the waste out of the liver, we're going to be retaining fluids. We are going to be not absorbing our foods. It's going to bring up blockage. Anytime there's blockage, there's pain. You clear the liver out, you find that if you have chronic pain issues, they're just going to fall through the floor. And the pain goes away. You are just doing better on every level. And flushing the liver is the key. And a clogged up liver is the worst. It's where all disease really comes from, is a breakdown in the body's ability to detoxify, which is what the liver does. One other thing that I didn't copy into this article, I took this out of a book that I have that I really enjoy. It's called The Amazing Liver Flush by, I'll think of its name eventually. But he just goes through and gives the effects of the liver malfunctioning on all the different parts of the body, which is really great stuff. What was I gonna say? Can't remember now, it slipped my brain. Okay, that's menopause, by the way, not a clogged up liver.
Dara,
yes, my dear.
That was Andreas Moritz.
Thank you. That's right, Andreas Moritz. Thank you. Yeah. Andreas Moritz, The Amazing Liver Flush. And I do have that book. He passed away a few years back, and I found his book as a PDF on online, and I grabbed it. So I've got that. If anybody wants it, just text me after class, and I will text you a link or send you a copy of it. I think I can email the book. Okay. It's not that long, but it's definitely worth reading. All right, so liver flushing. We now know why we want to do it. Now let's get into what it is and how and why when we need to do it. Okay. When is it that we need to liver flush? There are three main reasons for wanting to liver flush. The first one is you're doing a healing cleansing program. It's been going along, everything's going great, and suddenly it just stops working. Everything that was working stopped working. You're doing BF&C or maybe arthritis formula for arthritic issues or whatever issues that you're dealing with. And what was working quits working. Well, guess what? Your internal vacuum cleaner bag is full, and it's time to get that emptied so that you can continue to detox and continue to get clean. So when what you were doing stops working, you know that it's time to do a serious liver flushing program. The other thing is when the second reason would be if you break out in rash. Anytime that the skin breaks down, if you have an issue and your skin breaks down, you break out in hives or a rash, or you get itchy or whatever, whenever the skin is affected, you need to look at the liver. It's the liver that's doing it. So when the liver cannot detox through proper channels, it will look to the skin and vicariously detox through the skin. And the skin can't take it. It is an organ that cannot take that toxicity coming out of it. So it will break down, you'll get a rash, whatever. And when your skin starts to break down, it's time to do an ELF. And just get that emergency liver flush. And normally 1 or 2 ELFs, and you've got that all cleared up. You've got that train going back the right direction, and that will clear that up. So when the skin breaks down, when you have eczema issues like this on the body, I got a spider bite. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, they still see the rash. We were working out in the yard and I got a spider bite.
Wow.
And it's just a normal, yard, it's not a recluse, they make a circle. And those are real dangerous. But this is just a spider bite, and I've been putting infection salve on it, and it doesn't itch too bad, but it's still a little hard in there and a little hot. And I realized, guess what? I got to do a liver flush.
Yeah.
It's just not clearing out as fast as I think it ought to. It's been 2 days now, and I've still got a big red patch right there.
Yeah.
And it stung like the dickens when he got me.
Yeah.
It just stung like, oh, it hurt. And I came in, I put the infection salve on it, and I thought, okay, well, by tomorrow it'll be gone. Well, guess what? It's 2 days down the road, and it's still hot, but not as bad as it was.
Mhm.
So it's time to liver flush for that, because the infection salve works on spider bites.
Right.
It will normally clear them up. Okay, the third reason is for pain. And we just discussed that a little bit when we were reading that article, the effects of gallstones on the liver. For those who might have missed that, it's on my blog. If you go to my blog, daradietz.me, you can download the whole article, Effects of Gallstones on the Liver. It is to clear chronic pain. Believe it or not, doing a liver flush is going to clear chronic pain. Of course, we need to topically deal with the areas that are affected. You know, if you've got a hot joint because of arthritis and rheumatism and all that, okay, well, let's use the salves and cool those joints down and get rid of that urea crystals that are in there. But at the same time, we're not going to be able to get that out if the liver cannot pull properly. I mean, we're creating all this die-off and all this junk for the liver to get out of the body. And as we just heard, whenever the liver cannot detox and neutralize the waste itself, it's going to throw more water up, which is going to cause more blockage, which is going to cause more pain. Pain and disease come from blockage.
Mhm.
All pain is caused because of blockage somewhere. If you clear all the blockage from your body, you will clear all the pain from your body. And one of the biggest keys to doing that is getting the liver flushed and keeping the liver flushed. All right, so there are 3 types of liver flushing that we can do.
Okay.
The first one is the week of detoxifying. And this is, and this one in and of itself, sorry, I keep playing with my hair because I'm drippy. This one in and of itself can be kicked up to 3 different levels. But we'll discuss those 3 levels in a minute. But the first one is a week of liver flushing. This is where you're juice fasting, and the intense one is juice fasting and or eating raw. Juice fasting is the most powerful. Eating raw is going to create alkalinity, but not as intense as the juice fasting. We'll get into all that, and we talked about that quite a bit on the foundational program when we had that class, which I am going to have again. And then the full week of that, where you are using your detox formulas and you are doing 3 flushes a day, and you're just, you know, following the Incurables program, basically, is what that is. That is the first way of doing a liver flush. The second one is to do an ELF. Now, believe it or not, an ELF is not really a detox. When you do an ELF by itself and you're not doing the rest of the program with it, you're actually just changing that internal vacuum cleaner bag. An ELF in and of itself can be done anytime. You know, you just got to quit eating at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you can do your ELF in the evening, and we will discuss what an ELF is for those of you that may not understand that. But an ELF in and of itself is, an ELF stands for emergency liver flush. And in and of itself, it is not detoxing. All it does is clear out that internal vacuum cleaner bag. It does not create die-off. You're not using any of the herbs or anything to encourage waste to be created. you're just clearing the liver out. And then, of course, when the liver is cleared out, it's just going to start pulling waste from everywhere. You get that internal vacuum cleaner bag out, and it just starts pulling and sucking, and all the garbage that surrounds your body just starts filtering out. But in and of itself, it is not a detox. It is just a flush. And then the third one is way of liver flushing is what we call the amazing liver flush. And that is the one where we use Epsom salt. This is very effective, but it can only be done once every 6 to 8 weeks. Because of the Epsom salts, you can upset your electrolytes if you do this one too often. You will have, it is a fantastic flush. But again, this one can only be done once every 6 to 8 weeks. And you do it very much like you do the ELF, except that you're also using the Epsom salt. And the Epsom salts will dilate the system and really flush the bowel and get a lot of good waste out doing it this way. But it cannot be repeated. The ELF can be repeated 5 nights in a row. And for those who have actually done that, they have seen wonderful benefits from it. I have actually cleared 2 cases of tetanus and one was diagnosed using the intense infection program, which includes 5 ELFs in a row. So that is very, very healing and definitely not to be shunned, but it is intense work, and you don't just jump in at that level. You work up to doing that unless you've got a serious issue going on. So let's look at the preparation, let's look at the light, moderate, and intense liver flushing. We'll go back to the week of liver flushing, and let's just look at 3 ways to do the liver flushing. We're gonna go for just a mild. Let's say that all you want to do is just a spring clean. You just, all you're out for is just to do a mild detoxification. You are just, wanting to change your internal oil. So what you're going to do then is you can just do a flush. It's a week-long program. You can go to either eating raw or juice fasting, depending on the intensity of the work that you want to do. Of course, juice fasting is the best, but if that is beyond what you can do emotionally, then eating raw, just skipping cooked food, and every morning you're going to drink your liver flush drink. So and it's a step up. On Monday morning, the liver flush drink that you're going to drink, and all this, the instructions for this are in the liver flushing ebook, which can be downloaded from my blog at today's posting for this class. I've got the liver flushing ebook attached in there. It's a step up and a step down for when you do the week of liver flushing. On Monday, you're going to be drinking the lightest drink. You maybe do 16 ounces of apple juice or whatever your fruit juice is. Apple juice is one that we tend to use. A tablespoon of olive oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, and maybe a piece of ginger about the size of your thumb. And you juice your apples. I just throw the ginger and the garlic through while I'm juicing the apples myself, because I gag. The fiber from the ginger will make me gag. I cannot throw it in the blender. When Schultz described this, he's just throwing it in the blender and drinking it down, and I'm going, no, I cannot do that. I put it through with the apples, and I just juice them all up with the apples, and then you put that in your glass, and then you add your oil. So, and then on Monday, it would be like 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil. Okay, on Tuesday, you double everything. So if you did 2 tablespoons of oil, you're going to do 4 on Tuesday. You still have just a 16-ounce drink of juice, but you're going to do maybe 4 to 6 cloves of garlic and maybe a size of 2 thumbs of ginger. And you put that through the juicer. On Wednesday, you double it again. So on Wednesday, yeah, on Wednesday, the way that I do it is I usually end up with almost half a cup of oil because I am doing quite a bit. But you just double it again for Wednesday, what you did the day, and it's still in a 16-ounce glass or 16 ounces of juice. And then on Thursday, you step back to what you did on Tuesday, and on Friday, you step down to what you did on Monday. So it's a step up and a step down.
Yeah.
And that is the basics for all the weeks of liver flushing. Now, what we're going to get into is how to kick that up and how to increase. If you're just doing the mildest liver flush is you do that 1 time a day. When you are doing the Incurables program, you do that drink 3 times a day.
Wow.
So when you are juice fasting and you have a major disease to clear, or if you just want to do a really good week of liver flushing, you would drink that drink morning, noon, and night. That's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you're gonna drink that 3 times a day, and you'll see a schedule in the liver flushing ebook. And it kind of maps out a nice schedule, gives you some idea of how to do this. And you can tweak that schedule around to what works best for you with your style and what you're up to. But, the ultimate is for the Incurables program is you would be doing that 3 times a day. And at the same time, you're also going to be getting in your superfood drinks and your echinacea and all your other wonderful teas and things that you got to do. It's a full-time job when you're doing the Incurables program. And so you are investing in yourself. And in many cases, you are trying to not have to leave this world too early. So that is the mildest program, the mildest Incurables, and the basic cleansing if all you want to do is just a seasonal oil change of your body, just a mild flush. My suggestion is at the week on Friday, instead of doing the liver flushing on Friday with your drinks through the day or the one in the morning, that you do an ELF in the evening. So all week long, you have been softening everything up. You've been juicing. You've been eating your raw food meal or juicing or whatever you're doing. So everything is soft and ready in there. So on Friday, if you do an ELF, and this is done at 6 o'clock at night, does anybody here not know what an ELF is?
Me,
Do I need, pardon?
me.
Okay.
I don't know what an elf is.
All right. ELF stands for emergency liver flush.
Uh-huh.
And so let's go into what this is. The ELF is, and I've got videos on there that will take you through where we actually had an ELF party and we videotaped it. An ELF is done, I know we're crazy around here. You do it at 6 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And so when you're going to do an ELF, you still take your detox. If you're doing the week of liver flushing and all that, you're still doing your detox formulas every 3 hours and your LP formula every 3 hours and all of this. You're following that schedule, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But on Friday, instead of taking your oil drink throughout the day, at 6 o'clock in the evening, you're going to consume 8 ounces of olive oil and 8 ounces of grapefruit juice. And you precede that. Pardon?
Do you blend them
Yes.
together?
I put them in a shaker glass and just shake them together.
Okay.
And you precede that with 2 teaspoons of LP formula and 2 teaspoons of digestive tonic in the same cup. You put them in the same cup with just a little bit of water, and you just knock that back. And that is going to turn your stomach to brass so that you do not throw that oil back up.
Wow.
And this is, when you drink this drink, you then once you get it down, you go and you lay with your right side down, liver side down for 45 minutes. So you set your timer and you lay down for 45 minutes.
Right.
And then when you're done laying on your side, that just increases the flow into the liver,
Right.
so that you're getting a good flow into the liver. Then you're going to get up and a castor oil pack that you have already made, because once you drink that oil drink, you do not want to be jumping around anymore.
Oh,
You
no.
do not want to squish that around in your stomach.
No.
So you have your heating pad and your oil pack all ready just to put on, and you put that on over your liver. I like to rub a little M&L salve under it. The Mullein and Lobelia salve opens up the lymphatic system and just allows better movement. So anytime I put any pack on, I'll rub some M&L salve on under it, and then I just put the pack on over top the M&L salve, and it just opens everything up so that you get better movement. And then, of course, the castor oil is just going to decongest and just help move everything along. And you warm that on your side for an hour or so, or until you're ready to go to bed, and then you leave the pack on all night. You spend the night with your castor oil pack, and sometime between the time that you drink it and 12 or 1 the next day, you're going to see results in the toilet of getting the waste out of your liver. What happens when you drink this is the liver is huge, and it will contract like a sponge. That oil hitting it will cause it to contract and just whoosh all the waste out of itself. And when it does that, you need to, if your liver is not open, and you won't feel that happen. I've never had anyone tell me that they could feel the liver contracting.
Oh.
What you will feel if you don't do your castor oil pack is the next morning you can feel like you were kicked in the side by a mule, because the muscles around that huge organ are going to wrench. When the liver contracts, those muscles can wrench. And the castor oil pack keeps it soft and keeps it from wanting to wrench. And also the M&L salve will prevent any wrenching from happening. So if you are a little sore the next day, no harm, no foul. It passes in a day or so, and you did not hurt yourself. You're fine.
Good.
But the first time I did it, I thought I was big and bad, and I didn't do a castor oil pack or anything. I was walking around for 2 days holding my side going, oh my gosh, what have I done to myself? It really hurt. I mean, it felt like some mule had walked in my bedroom and kicked me. It ached. And my girlfriend, who was my mentor at the time, she told me, you did not do a castor oil pack. I said, no, I didn't. It was messy. I didn't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
Well, she says, this is what you get.
Yeah, it is messy.
Yep. So you will definitely want to do the castor oil pack. You leave that on all night, and the liver will force itself out. What I was going to say earlier is the stones that are inside the liver, the liver stones inside the liver, you can tell that you have them if you have an enlarged liver. I mean, then you know you've really got bad stones in there. But they do not image. There is no way to image or to see the stones inside the liver because they're like jello, and you cannot image through jello. The only way you can check to see if you have stones inside your liver is to do an autopsy, and you really don't want them doing that on you. I know. And so there are doctors and people that will say, oh no, you don't make stones in your liver. There's no stones in that liver, and it's like, yeah, well, just let me die, and then you can take a look and see that they're in there.
Right.
Yeah. And so what happens is it just is going to wish all this out. And where the stones actually form is they form right in front of the bile ducts. So they are blocking the bile ducts. And it's very important to get those stones out of the liver and get those bile ducts unblocked, because they form right in front of the bile ducts. So
wow.
you've got the waste having to get the bile having to flow around this blockage. And as it does, some of it clings to it and the stones just get bigger and bigger.
Oh,
And so when you do the liver flush, you just wish all those stones out of your liver. And when they get in the gallbladder, then they get mineralized. You know, they can get mineral deposits on them, and then they can be imaged. So what ends up in your gallbladder, you can actually, they can image that, but what's still inside your liver cannot be imaged. So what comes out, it can be an amazing amount of waste, you know, that comes out. And not long ago, somebody asked me, well, you know, if I'm not eating anything, if all I'm doing is juicing, why am I still pooping, or will I still be able to poop? And yeah, your liver is dumping out 1.5 quarts of bile every day when it's properly doing its thing. That is going to be eliminated. You're still dumping waste. It's still coming out. And there's plenty more to come. It's not going to end. So that is the milder liver flushing. I suggest we end the week with an ELF. So on Friday, instead of doing your regular, you know, the lighter liver flushing like you would be doing on Monday, do an ELF instead and really get the benefits of all that work you did all week. I mean, you've been softening everything up in there. You've been drinking your apple juice, and all that malic acid is getting in there and softening up all that waste in the liver. So let's just really flush it out on Friday. That is my idea of a good week of liver flushing. Okay, now let's talk about kicking it up a bit. This would be the moderate liver flush. If we are, you know, but all right, one word of caution. When you are starting a program for the first time and you're just getting into it, I do not suggest that you jump in at the higher levels of liver flushing. You're going to be doing a lot of work to do these higher levels of liver flushing, and you're not going to get the benefits because your liver, your body isn't ready to give it up. So start out with at least 1 week of just the regular, milder liver flushing, and then build up to the moderate, and then be ready to do the intense liver flush. If you just jump in at the intense, unless, like, let's say you get tetanus or something like this, then you have no choice. You're going to be doing intense stuff. But if you're just on a cleansing, healing program, healing any major disease, any major issues, let's go ahead and start with the mild, go to moderate, and then do some intense. And you're going to be, every other week, you're going to be switching this out with kidney flushing. So when you do a week of liver flushing, you are creating a lot of die-off. Your body, you're using your detox formula, you're taking, a lot of times you might be doing the infection work at the same time, or using some of the infection formulas to really knock the inflammation down in your body. You know, if you have major issues going on, you're going to be doing things that are creating a lot of die-off. So during the week of liver flushing, your body is just generating all this waste that needs to be eliminated. And it's like clearing all the corners of the room out to this big pile in the middle of the room. It's not all going to get picked up. So every other week, you then do 5 days of kidney flushing. And the kidney flushing protocol is a mild cleanse. You can still be juice fasting, you can still be eating raw, you know, whatever the intensity that you want to do. But this is more of a flush. You're not creating die-off unless we're dealing with a major cancer or an issue like that. Then you would continue to use the detox formulas, which are the blood purifying formulas, even in your kidney flushing protocol. But for anyone else, the kidney flushing is just a week where you flush your renal system and you let your body get on top of all the die-off and all the waste and just flush it all out. And it's a milder week of work. All the drinks taste good. I will tell you this straight up, the detox formula, not the tea, but the formula, is the worst tasting thing you will ever put in your mouth on purpose.
Yeah.
The liver is stimulated by the flavors of hot and bitter. So there you go. And these herbs in this are to stimulate the liver and get the liver moving. And so you put your dose of detox formula into a little cup of water and you shoot it back. And then you make all the faces that you want and you drink your detox tea, which tastes pretty good on top of that. So the week of kidney flushing, everything is good. Pepperminty and nummy, and kidney flush isn't bad tasting at all. But the week of liver flushing, that can be horrific. So now let's talk about the moderate liver flush. Okay, so you're gonna do a week of liver flushing, and you now are ready to kick it up to the moderate. So let's start the week with an ELF. So on Monday, instead of you're gonna be juice fasting and doing your tinctures every 3 hours and whatever else you're doing. But instead of doing your oil drinks 3 times in the day, you're gonna do an ELF at 6 o'clock at night. So you start the week with an ELF. And then on Tuesday, you do what you would normally do on Tuesday, which would be double what you would have done on Monday, like we discussed. On Wednesday, you've got your choice. You can either do an ELF or you can do your 3 drinks on Wednesday. Personally, I usually will do an ELF simply because by the time I've drunk my half cup of oil 3 times in the day, I've done as much oil, actually almost more than that 8 ounces of oil I would be doing at night at 6 o'clock. And then on Thursday, you would do your regular 3 drinks a day. And on Friday, you would do an ELF. So on the moderate program, you're going to be doing 3 ELFs in the week. And then on up to 3 ELFs in the week. But at least on Monday and Friday, you are going to do your ELF, and then the rest of the week you can just do the regular liver flushing program. So that really kicks it up because you are just flushing that liver through really strong on 2 to 3 days that week, which really increases it. And of course, when you are doing any detoxing program, you're using an ounce of echinacea each day. And you just pick your time of day, morning or night, and you get that ounce of echinacea down, you put it in your cup and you put boiling water on top of it, you can see a puff of white smoke come up. And that's the alcohol burning off. And it really does remove the alcohol. You bring that water to a good boil and just pour it over the echinacea and then just let it set for a few minutes while it cools. And there's not going to be alcohol in there anymore. It will have evaporated. Alcohol evaporates at 170 degrees. So that will clear the alcohol from the tea. And then you just drink it and you do your ounce of echinacea each day. The other things that go along with this, and we had discussed this in the foundational program, but I will restate it here lightly, is the bowel cleansing needs to be in place. If your bowels are not open and functioning, you cannot do a liver flush. If your bowels are not moving well, you cannot liver flush. You will throw it up. It will not go down because when that waste hits your bowel, if it cannot get a door and get out of there, it's going to back up into your stomach. If it cannot move into the bowel at the rate that it wants to, it will back up into your stomach. And when that waste hits your stomach's going to go, I don't think so, and send it right out your mouth. And that is not fun. So when you are doing a liver flush, the bowel cleansing part has to be in place. The echinacea needs to be in place, using your echinacea every day so that your immune system can keep up with the die-off and the waste. Echinacea, of course, sends a chemical command to your immune system to produce more immune cells. And the reason this is so important is because an immune cell has to attach each piece of waste that is being created to neutralize it, so your liver can then neutralize it and remove it. If you do not have enough immune cells to neutralize the waste that is being created, you'll reabsorb it. And if you've ever heard the term healing crisis or cleansing crisis or a backlash from detoxing, all that is because you ran out of immune cells and your body lost the ability to neutralize the waste that you're creating, and you're reabsorbing it, which all that hard work you're doing is going to waste. It's just being reabsorbed back in, and you feel like you've been run over by a Mack truck. It can feel like flu-like symptoms. You can get headachy. You can get achy all over your body. However the detoxing comes up in you, you'll feel it coming on, and that would indicate that your immune system is not holding up, that you need more echinacea, or you need to be making sure you're getting your carrot juice. Carrot juice, when you're doing an ounce of echinacea a day, you need to be drinking at least 36 ounces, a quart of carrot juice a day. So when in the morning, when you make your vegetable juice, you run through and you make 32 ounces of carrot juice, and then you can put what other veggies you want on top of that. But the beta carotene in carrot juice converts to vitamin A in the body, and vitamin A is what your immune system is built from. So when you are drinking carrot juice, you are providing the raw nutrients for your body to build more immune cells. Echinacea sends a chemical command to your immune system to produce more immune cells. So those two in combination, whenever you're doing a healing program, you definitely need to be doing your echinacea and making sure that your immune system is up. The other thing that you need to understand is if you use table sugar or your white bread, but mostly white sugar, it will destroy your immune system. White sugar coats the immune cells and shuts everything down for anywhere from 4 to 12 hours, depending on how much sugar you eat. So, I mean, you really cannot afford to eat sugar. You can have honey, you can have maple syrup, you can have blackstrap molasses, you know, anything you want, but not white sugar. Table sugar is poison, and it will destroy your immune system. So when you are doing a detox, you definitely do not want to be ingesting anything. I mean, cheating, if you got to cheat, have a bowl of cherries. I mean, that'll take care of your sweet tooth. You know, if you're doing a juice fast and you just got to eat something, treat yourself to something. I mean, give yourself permission. It's not the end of the world. Do something that you really, really want. Whenever I do a juice fast, before I will break it, I tell myself, I give myself permission to break it if I want to, but I will sit down and I will chew through a glass of juice. And I mean, you put a swallow in your mouth, you swish it around in your mouth and you swallow it. And you just chew through a glass. And I always choose my fruit juices because they're more satisfying to me. I have a sweet tooth. And I will chew through that. And usually I'm so satisfied by the end, it takes 15 to 20 minutes to chew through a good glass of juice. I'm satisfied and I don't want to eat anymore. I'm okay and I can keep on going. So, you know, give yourself permission to do what you need to do, but always decide, okay, before I break, I'm going to have that one last glass of fruit juice or whichever juice you like the best, and you chew through that and you really take your time with it, and you will find that your appetite is satisfied. Also, what is very satisfying is making the potassium broth. And the recipe to make potassium broth is in the ebook, the liver flushing ebook. That potassium broth is invaluable. It really keeps the electrolytes balanced, and it's very satisfying. I'll add a little bit of sea salt to it, you know, good salt, and maybe a little bit of cayenne, and it just, I don't peel the potatoes. I actually just chop the potatoes up. So you're getting a little bit of starch in it. And it's very satisfying. It really makes you feel like you got to eat something. But when you're doing a juice fast, the potassium broth is very, very important and really will keep you from breaking. And you can have as much of that as you want in the day also. It's, use what works for you.
That'll also help if you're hypoglycemic, won't it?
Yes. The other thing is if you have blood sugar issues, get the pancreas support formula. That is made with the cedar berries, and the cedar berries support blood sugar, whether it's low or high.
Okay. Okay.
And that is an absolute godsend. I mean, since I dropped the weight as fast as I did, I really stressed my endocrine system. And I hadn't had blood sugar issues for a long time. I'm on the pancreas support. I have to use that because I'll get a swimmy head and I'll get really sleepy after I eat. And that's my blood sugar dropping, where I had issues with it when I was younger. But I mean, you lose 240 pounds in less than 18 months. You're going to stress the hell out of your body.
Yeah.
But we did it anyways. I figured I would make it up. The first 200 pounds came off in 9 months.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
it was a huge stress on the endocrine system. And I am feeling it in my blood sugar issues. I have a little thing and I'll poke myself and my blood sugar is never high, but it gets a little low at times.
Yeah.
And so I use the pancreas support. I take a teaspoon first thing in the morning. Most days I'll just take it one time a day. And it just supports through the day. If I start feeling a little bit rough later in the day, I'll take another one at bedtime.
Okay.
And when we're dealing with diabetics or hypoglycemics that are really sick, I say definitely first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and at noon. So it's 3 times a day, and it's a teaspoon per dose, and it works really well. I never said this, but I've seen people come off their insulin and all that stuff in the matter of 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it works really, really well. But you can't put it out there too strongly because I'd have the powers that be all over me.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes too much money, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Diabetes
yeah.
is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It is, and they're just wrecking people's health with all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Okay, so now let's talk about the ultimate week of liver flushing, and this is when, and you cannot do this again right off the bat unless, let's say, you decide to step on a rusty nail and give yourself tetanus or something along that line. This is recommended to be built up to. The ultimate week of liver flushing, and I would use this when you really want to dig in there and just get stuff moving, really clean house, and the benefits are huge. I definitely recommend juice fasting for doing this one, but you're going to do 5 ELFs in a row. And it may not sound difficult, believe it or not, my limit is 3. Or was it 4? I don't know, Andrea, I told you one time what it was. She actually, I believe Andrea got the 5 done. She may or may not still be with us, so she might be muted. She was at the track with her sons. So she has 3 boys, and she's will be listening as best she can. But it is a real deal to do 5 ELFs in a row, and it is hugely beneficial. I mean, you're talking about seriously cleaning house. So it's, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the evening, you do an ELF. You're juice fasting all day. You are taking your echinacea, an ounce every day, and you're doing your detox formulas every 3 hours, or you're doing infection work. If it's inflammation and stuff in your body, you can be doing the infection protocol along with that. And that is the ultimate week of of liver flushing is doing 5 ELFs in a row. Again, you want to have worked up to this and gotten ready for it because you want everything softened up in you. You want your body to be in a place where it's really going to give it up, where you have been doing several weeks of really good flush work before you do your intense ELF work. And that is major. It just, people turn corners with that. I mean, if you are dealing with pain issues, if you're dealing with inflammation, all of this, doing the intense ELF work is not a bad idea. It really changes things. The other thing that I want to talk about is liver flushing children. Okay, children and seniors, people who are a little more fragile. Honestly, if a child is off the breast, he can be liver flushed. We have a group around here of homeschooling mamas that liver flush everybody. They have big old liver flushing parties, and if you're off the boob, you get flushed, and so does daddy. They're just a bunch of crazy women who are bound and determined to keep their families as healthy as possible. And one of the women, several years back, she came in and she lost her husband a year or so before. He had passed from something really sad. But she was coming out of it and starting to get back on. And she goes, I really want to just flush myself. What is the ultimate liver flushing thing I can do? And I thought she was going to take it as a joke. I said, well, do 5 ELFs in a row. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, yes, I think I will. That sounds great. And I'm thinking, woman, you're crazy. She grabbed a hold of that and she did it. And it was just like, okay. But, you know, I do recommend that when somebody is got a major issue going on, but she was in a place where she needed to do that. I mean, emotional constipation, emotional stress can also affect everything. I mean, we know people can die from sadness, from grief. You know, it can end your life, and it just puts the stress down on the whole system. So when times like those come on, you really need to deal with all parts of you. You know, not just the emotional, but the physical will need help also. Okay, so liver flushing children and those who are more fragile, the real seniors and all that. First off, we take the weight into account. I usually round up to the 50-pound mark. An adult is like at 150 pounds as an adult. So someone at 150 pounds is considered an adult, and they're going to take the whole adult dose. When I am dealing with a real petite woman that's around 100 pounds or less, soaking wet, I will trim the ELF and the doses to 2/3. So, you know, we'll be cutting 1/3 of the dose off. And you would do the same thing with children. So with your children, when you are going to ELF them, you know, if they're just little guys, you know, under 50 pounds or whatever, you're going to give them either 1/3 of the adult dose, or even, you know, if they're like 25 pounds or 30 pounds, you're going to cut that 1/3 even in half. And take it to their weight. And kids take this so well. They don't have all the emotional trauma that we do. Their little bodies just let it go. You know, the little ones and the children, they do this really well. And what you're saying, yeah, like I could get my kid to drink it. What will get your kid to drink it? Any kid will drink it if there's competition involved and if it's a game. If it is a happy time and a game and everyone's doing it, they're going to do it. So you turn it into a party. You have an ELF party where everybody is just partying. And when you have to drink the nasty little stuff or whatever, everybody gets to make faces. Everybody just, you know, admits that it's nasty stuff, but it's good nasty, and we're just going to take it down. And so it's a game to see who can get it down the best. And you set it up this way, and you can get your kid to do anything. If mom and dad are doing it, if everybody else is doing it, they're going to do it. So you make a game out of it. You make it a fun time. It is life, keeping yourself cleaned up and cleaned out. And I have seen kids born. I mean, we've had some mothers who had children that were born with eczema. Mom was so toxic while she was pregnant that the children were born with eczema. And we could not elf them. Mom could elf while she was breastfeeding, and the child would get a little bit of the benefit. But not until they came off the breast and they were at least 2 years old. So the first 18 months to 2 years, the child was just dealing with all this eczema and all this itching. They were miserable. And as soon as we could elf that child, guess what? It all went away.
Wow.
It cleared up so fast. But you cannot elf a child until they're off the breast. And another thing about children is there is no hydrochloric bath forming in the stomach until that first tooth breaks through. You should not be giving a child anything solid to eat. They should only be getting mother's milk until the first tooth breaks through. That is the sign. When that tooth breaks through, there's now a hydrochloric bath in the stomach. Until that tooth breaks through, there is no hydrochloric bath in the stomach. There is no way to digest stuff that goes down. If the child is seriously hungry and the milk isn't enough, you can add slippery elm bark powder. Make a gruel out of that. That will not affect the digestion. And slippery elm bark powder is an excellent first food for babies. It tastes really nice. It can be mixed with mother's milk to make a little gruel. You can also use it on your seniors where they have really poor digestion and they're not getting stuff down. Make a little gruel for them with slippery elm and maybe some almond milk or something, or you can mix it with applesauce. And it's very nutritious and rebuilding to the digestion in the stomach. But for those little babies, they cannot digest anything until that tooth breaks through. Until they've got a tooth in their mouth, they have no hydrochloric bath in their stomach. And you're just ripping their intestines to pieces by putting all that food down there. I've seen mothers feeding their babies this, and they just want them to sleep and to quit fussing, and they're just creating a way for a very, very bad childhood and very sick life later on by doing that. So children should not be fed solids until their bodies are ready for them. And we can elf them at about somewhere between 18 months and 2 years. I would evaluate each child separately. I mean, some kids are really big and you can just know that they're ready for it. And other ones, they're just so little and petite and you just would hold off a little bit longer. But if there's issues in the skin already, you want to do it as soon as you can. So you can clear up and that liver can start functioning better. But the same goes with your seniors. If the seniors have a hard time, you need to elf them or whatever, and or liver flush them, and they're having a really hard time with the flavors, so they're not really cognitive anymore, where you can where they can understand why they're drinking this thing that's so nasty. Sometimes you can get them to go along by making a game out of it and just turning it into something fun where you're all doing it. Other times you're just, if they're not going to do it, they're just not going to do it. And there's nothing you can do about that. They do have a right to say no if they absolutely don't want to, but if you bring it at them the right way, with their personalities in mind, quite often you can get people to do almost anything if you set it up in a way that they can tolerate. All right, let me see. All right, the day that you're going to do an elf. All right, if you're on the fly and you have a situation that comes up and you need to do an elf, let's say you get up in the morning and you're just feeling awful, and you know you're toxic, and you decide, okay, today I'm going to do an ELF. You can do that. The prep work is better, you know, to use some apple juice for 3 or 4 days in advance and all that. You would, when you're preparing properly to do an ELF, you would, for 5 days in advance, it's not a bad idea to drink a couple glasses of apple juice in between meals, so they're going into your stomach by themselves. That is a good preparation for doing it. But if you've got a place where you've got a gallbladder attack coming on, yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Anytime you have an issue, an acute, you know, and an onset, you know, something chronic, you know, kind of crawls up on you. But when you have an acute issue anywhere up here, you know, in this area, I would check for gallbladder issue back up first, because when that acidity backs up into this upper cavity, it can feel like a heart attack. It can feel like a pulled muscle. You're belching toxic, you know, the bile, all that is bulging up here, just burning your throat. Acid reflux is the word I wanted. All of that is indicative that the liver is backed up and not doing well. And one way that you can rule that in or out is to give them a teaspoon of LP and digestive tonic. If you take a teaspoon of LP and digestive tonic in the same cup and with just a little bit of water and just knock that back, if it is coming from your liver within 60 seconds or less, sometimes, maybe a little bit more in other cases, all those symptoms are going to go away. It will just end. You know, your heart will be palpitating. You'll feel like there's bands going around you. You'll, you know, all the pressure up here, all that just goes away. And what is happening, what that does is that those two herbs formulas combined take the gallbladder and just put it on ice. Just tell it to go sit down and shut up. Just calm it down, put it on ice, and give you a chance to do an ELF and to get that liver flushed out. So anytime that I have somebody come along and, you know, they're complaining of chest pains, they're complaining of whatever in the upper quadrant area, or even, you know, pains around the middle or something like that, I always check. I'll give them that. I mean, it takes 2 seconds, just as we'll drink this. And, you know, and while we're doing that, I get the cayenne and the hawthorn together, and, you know, for the heart attack stuff, you know, we'll get that ready, but let's just, you know, we'll put this together first. And quite often we don't even need the other stuff. You know, it just calms it right down. It's a gallbladder attack. And when that comes up, you know, and it's also, I mean, it's not a bad idea if the heart was involved to go ahead and give them the cayenne and the hawthorn. You know, just the heart obviously is not having a good day. And so, you know, calming that down too. But then you need to do an emergency ELF. You really need to get them ELF. So what you do is, if it's early enough in the day, you can do a prune juice flush to make sure that the bowels are open and everything's moving well. And the prune juice flush is located on my, the directions for it are on my blog with most of the liver flushing. You should see a PDF for that. But the prune juice flush, basically you're going to be drinking 16 ounces of prune juice, and usually it's twice. You end up drinking that 2 times. You start with a glass of warm water, and with maybe some lemon in it, or I usually drink one of my teas, you know, whatever hot tea I want. Put that down first, and then about 5-10 minutes later, you chew through 16 ounces of prune juice. And if by the time you're done with that, it was in a half hour, if you're not on the toilet eliminating, then you drink another glass of hot tea, hot, warm, you know, something warm going down, and you drink a second glass of 16 ounces of prune juice. Then you just sit back and wait, because it will have an effect. And normally it's going to turn the bowels to liquid. So you're going to be pooping water for 4 to 6 hours. So if you're early enough in the day and you have time to do that, the effects will end and all the drama will end in about 6 hours for some people and as early as 4 hours for others. Normally, if I do it first thing in the morning, and I do prune juice flushes all the time, if I'm feeling like I'm getting backed up, by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, the effects are done. You know, I'm finished. There's no more drama going on. And you know that the bowel is open, you know everything's been cleared out, so you can do an ELF without having to worry about anything coming up. If I don't have time to do the prune juice flush, then I will do an amazing, the amazing liver flush, which is with the Epsom salts, because the Epsom salts will do that. They will get everything open and moving, and you can usually go ahead and get them elfed and cleared out by doing that one. But I hate to waste that one on a first one when there's no prep work, because you can't do it again for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to want to do more than one elf on somebody who is so backed up that they're having problems. So I tried to do the other one first, but if it's absolutely not going to, we'll just go ahead and do. And I've had people come through here, they come, we have guest rooms where they spend the night. And when they show up at 4 o'clock and I ask, well, how did your bowels go today? And they go, well, not so well. It's like, all right, Epsom salts. We're going to do the amazing liver flush, and we just turn it around and time it for that. So at 6 o'clock, they're drinking their first Epsom salts. At 8 o'clock, they drink their second one. At 9:30 or so, they're ready to drink their oil drink. And then the next morning at 6 o'clock, they have an Epsom salt. And then at 8 o'clock, they have their last Epsom salt. And the downside is that they're pooping water nearly all night long. I mean, it's a miserable thing to have to do. So when I've got somebody doing that, I just stay up with them as long as they want to stay up. I mean, I'm a night owl anyways. So we just hang out, watch movies, or, do whatever, and just spend the night. And every so often they get up and toddle off to the bathroom. Because it's a deal. I mean, your bowels are moving and you're pooping water, and it's no big deal. It's going to happen, but we're getting the stuff out. We're getting them cleared out. When you do an ELF, if it starts backing up on you, let's say you start feeling a little nauseated, a little unwell, it's like your body is dumping waste so quickly that it's not getting out fast enough. It has to clear and keep on moving out fast. Even when your bowels are open, it can be dumping so fast that it's backing up in your stomach and trying to come up this way. You don't want to throw it up. So you can do another teaspoon of LP and digestive, and that will normally turn that train around and get everything going back the right direction. And you can do that as often as you need to. I've had some people that, even though their bowels were open and we knew that they had prune juice flushed and, all this, they were still trying to throw it up. And it was like every hour or so through the night, they were taking some more LP and digestive. There's no overdosing on it. You take it when you need it. And they got through the night, and by the next morning it had cleared and they were fine. They didn't throw up. But they kept coming up with a little nausea all through the night. It was just trying to back up. Their body was just sending so much waste out. So quickly it was moving the waste out that it kept backing up into the stomach area. And the stomach will just say, I don't think so. And we'll want to send that waste out the fastest way and the easiest way for it, which is through your mouth. So the LP and digestive, that can be used repeatedly as, I call it taking another hit of the LP and digestive, and you just swallow that down, and that will just calm everything down. And of course, don't be jumping up and running around and dancing a jig. That will only make things really bad. Okay, does anyone have any questions, or have I confused you all completely?
No.
I have a question.
Sure.
We say 1 teaspoon of the LP and digestive. Is that 1 teaspoon of, is that 1 syringe, or it's just an equal amount of each in that 1 teaspoon? Or is it 1 for each?
It's 1 teaspoon of each.
Okay,
So you're measuring a teaspoon of LP and a teaspoon of digestive into your cup. So you have 2 teaspoons in the cup.
okay, got it.
But when you first when you're going to drink the ELF, when you're ready to drink the oil drink, you do 2 teaspoons of each. So yeah, when you're ready to drink the ELF, just before you drink it, you knock back 2 teaspoons of each in a couple swallows of water, and then you drink the oil drink.
Okay,
But
so
if you have issues, go ahead.
Did you just go over the ELF only? I don't think I have those notes.
The ELF and the Amazing Liver Flush
Okay.
are pretty much the same thing as far as the oil drink goes and how you would deal with them if there's trauma. If you end up with drama, you're still going to do the LP and digestive to calm them down. The difference between them is the ELF is just one drink, one time at 6 o'clock. You have your 8 ounces of oil and your 8 ounces of grapefruit juice or whatever citrus juice you want. You drink your LP and digestive drink, and then you follow it with the oil drink right after. You go lay on your side for 45 minutes. You put your castor oil pack on after that. You're done.
Okay.
It's done. And if there's any drama, if you start feeling a little nauseated or anything, take more LP and digestive through the night. With the Amazing Liver Flush, you are adding the Epsom salt dosage to that. And that is 4 ounces 4 times. Oh no, excuse me, 6 ounces 4 times. So you're doing, I believe there's 4 tablespoons of Epsom salt. The instructions are on the sheet, but I believe it's 4 tablespoons of Epsom salt mixed in with 4 times 6 is 24.
Yeah.
24 ounces of water. And then you pour that into 4 6-ounce glasses. Or I usually use my cups. I just set up 4 6-ounce cups of fluid. And then you take one at 6 o'clock, one at 8 o'clock in the evening, and then at 9:30 you drink your oil drink. And then in the morning at 6 o'clock you drink your Epsom salt, and at 8 o'clock you drink the last Epsom salt.
Okay.
And that keeps your bowels really, really flushed. I mean, you're going to be pooping water until 2 or 3 in the afternoon when you do that one, but you get so much waste out. It's worth the drama, but just know there's plenty of drama when you do that one.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do any of them if you want to, if you feel like that you are flushing your bowels out regularly. You can do any one of the 3 without a lot of preparation, correct?
Right. Yes. The one thing that you need to do is you stop eating at 2 in the afternoon. Your last food is consumed, the last solid food is consumed at 2 in the afternoon. If you're coming in on a day where you're just, deciding this morning, I'm going to do an ELF tonight. So you stop eating at 2, but you can have superfood and juices up until an hour before you do your flush, but no solid food in your tummy after 2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then you're good to go. As long as your bowels are open and moving well, there's no reason you can't do an ELF on the fly like that. And I'll be doing one tomorrow, probably. I got to get rid of this thing on my arm. It's getting ridiculous. That spider bite. We're working on the yard out there, and it's just a real pain when the spiders attack you because you're attacking their home.
What kind
Okay.
of oil do you use? You mentioned the olive oil. Is there a particular?
Yeah, the extra virgin olive oil. And since you asked the question, I will tell you a little anecdote that happened around here with our homeschooling mamas. One year, and Brienne knows I talk about her on this one, so she's good for it. One year, Brienne ran out of olive oil, so she thought, oh, what the heck, I'll use coconut oil. Okay, so they were having their ELF party. All the kids were there. Everybody was there. it was hysterical. We're talking projectile vomiting. She had a group of kids projectile vomiting, a group of husbands projectile vomiting. Guess what? You don't use coconut oil. The only oil you use is olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Don't play around with that one. I don't know what the others will do, and I ain't about to try and find out.
No, no.
It was hysterical. She called me about a week later. They went ahead and had a party a few days later and did it right, and everybody was okay with it.
Yeah.
It's a good group of people here. But
Yeah.
she said, oh, it was just terrible. They were just vomiting all over the place.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
It was hysterical, but it's just one of those things that you learn. And so now we know you don't use coconut oil.
Right.
It's not a good idea. But the olive oil is nutritious and it's very healing, as well as it does what needs to be done.
Right.
So I don't know all the constituents of it, why it's so valuable, but I know that we don't change that.
Mhm.
It's olive oil. Were there any other questions?
Yes, I had a question. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. When do you know you're done when you're doing a cleanse? I'm trying to get everything set up here. I don't have health issues. I'm just at a point in my life where I thought, I better start doing some cleansing and detoxing, like kidney, liver, and bowel and all that stuff, and doing it in the right order. So when we're doing these liver detoxing and cleansing, a person can do a little bit too much, and then you're going the other direction. So when do you know you're clean and when you're done? And then how often on a regular maintenance basis do you recommend that we do this? Like once every 6 months or once every 3 months or whatever. I don't want to be obsessed where my whole life is consumed with cleansing. I got a life to live too, so I don't want to waste time and product. So what do you recommend?
Okay. Each person is going to be very individual on the question of how much do you do and how long do you do it. The best advice I can give, and it kind of goes along with when I first came into natural healing, I had irritable bowel and other stuff going on with me. And of course, just tons of issues. And it's almost 30 years ago now, quite a while back. But I had been working for social service, which says everything right there. Okay, so my bowels were just a real mess. I started using the intestinal number 2, and that is part of the foundational program. I'll have that class again. I had the foundational class, which deals with bowel cleansing and echinacea and the food program a couple weeks ago, but I will definitely have that class again. For me, what it was, the bowel cleansing is like 1 or 2 weeks. And normally you do 1 or 2 weeks of it. And it's a good cleanse. The charcoal and bentonite clay and all that just pull the toxins out, take inflammation out of the bowel and work to heal the bowel and all that. Well, for me, it was like every time I thought about stopping, it was like that little thing in my head just saying, no, you're not done yet. I still need to do a little more. You're not done yet. 9 months down the road, I woke up one morning, I looked at that number 2, that black powder, and I said, I'm done. And I have never done it again. And to that extent, I've had, a few days, a week or whatever of bowel cleansing. But I just woke up that one morning and I was done. I knew I was done. That was it. That was enough. There will be that little voice inside you that says when you've done enough. As far as I know that we've had a couple of members in the past that were a little unbalanced, that I really felt were over detoxing, that were maybe doing a little bit too much. They had the one young woman, she had lost her mother. Her mother had passed. And I think she kind of got a little over the top on her cleansing and detoxing program, and was doing a little bit too much. She had lost her inner voice to some degree. And so it's very important that when you're doing this, you realize that the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical rise and fall together. So you need to be working on all parts of you at once. You need to be working on your emotional health, your spiritual health, and the answers will be there. The Spirit's going to speak to you as to what you need to be doing if you will stay tuned in with Him. The answers will come. For most people, I would say a good month of detox. I mean, do 30 days. Do a good 30-day detoxing, and you know, the incurables kit or whatever. You know, that's 2 weeks of liver flushing, 2 weeks of kidney flushing, and your bowel cleansing, and all that the whole time. That is a good program for someone who is just wanting to tune up. You know, what you're saying that you want to do. A good 30-day program, just set it up and say, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to do this. And you juice fast the weeks of your liver flushing, you do 5-day juice fast. The week of the kidney flushing, you do a 5-day raw food program. You're not, you know, you can do the juice fast if you want to. Go ahead and juice fast both weeks. But if that's not something you want to do on the kidney flushing week, you can eat raw. On the liver flushing, those 5 days, juice fast. And just tell yourself, okay, and then over the weekend, you can eat raw, or even add a little bit of cooked food if you want to. But the week of the 5-day of the program, 2 times, 2 liver flushes and 2 kidney flushes. So you liver flush, kidney flush, liver flush, kidney flush.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really good thing to do when you just want to clean house and get cleaned up. And when you've done that, you get to the end of the 30 days, you do an evaluation of yourself. Am I done? Was that enough? If you can honestly say that was enough, I'm done. I feel great. My energy's up. Everything's good. You know, I feel like I've cleared all the toxins out. I'm getting where I want to be. Fine. If not, do it again. Say, okay, nope, that wasn't enough. I'm going to go for another 30 days. And evaluate yourself every 30 days and just decide if it's enough, if you're there. And then on a ongoing maintenance basis, I would say seasonally. At the change of every season, you do either a liver flush or a kidney flush. So, or you might do them both, you know, back to back. It just depends on what you want to do. But do a seasonal oil change type thing where you just do a week of good cleansing. When the seasons change, you change the oil in your car, which is your body.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. I just get concerned. A lot of people, like I said, they get a little overzealous and carried away and obsessed with something, and then all of a sudden they're creating problems. And you know, like for instance, an example, people that will do an enema, they don't realize they flushed out all the natural intestinal flora, and they didn't replenish what they took away after they got done. They just go in and blow everything out and wonder why they're having problems afterwards.
Yeah.
I think.
We can overdo.
So
we can definitely overdo on the cleansings and things, and we need to be aware of the effects that all these have on the body. And I think that's where the backlash comes in. A lot of people, you know, they talk about, oh, I did a detox and I just, you know, I felt so horrible after I was done. Well, they didn't prepare their body for the work they were going to do.
yeah,
And they didn't really understand the work that they were doing needed to be supported.
Yeah.
You have to support with probiotics and with other things, and making sure you're getting good fiber in you, and your stomach flora actually consumes the fiber that you eat. That's the food that the flora eats, is your fiber. So the type of flora that you're going to have is very much determined by the health of the fiber that you ingest. If you don't put anything good in there, you're going to have bad stomach flora no matter what probiotics you're using.
Exactly.
It's not going to make any difference. You have to take good fiber in to have good gut health.
And what about the liver and the kidneys? Is there something, once we do these cleanses, is there something that you kind of run through afterwards, like, as you say, something that's good for the liver and something that's good for the kidneys?
I'm going to do a kidney flushing class next week. Next week, we're going to go all into everything with kidney flushing.
Okay.
And the benefits of kidney flushing. So yes, to answer your question.
I got both here.
Yeah, you got them all. Okay, very good.
Where do I find that information?
Pardon?
Where do I find that information? Is that on
It's
your website?
This is
Dara?
on our website.
Okay.
It's on my blog, daradeep.me. And there's embedded videos on there too, where I've already done small little videos and different things like that.
Okay.
They're small little bites. These classes are definitely more intense than what I've done there. And I'm going to be posting these, but I'm just wondering if YouTube will let me post them or is going to sanction me. They're really bad these days.
Dara,
You all
what do
wondering.
you? Oh, go ahead.
Liver flush and kidney flush.
Yeah, and there's also one for the foundational program. And if you go to Incurables, you'll find where there's 4 or 5 videos and the liver flush, kidney flush, foundational, and hydrotherapy ebooks are on there to be downloaded.
Now, you mentioned the hydrotherapy, the colon hydrotherapy. I clicked.
No, it wasn't colon hydrotherapy. It's just hydrotherapy.
Okay, I clicked on it and it wasn't. There was nothing.
Oh my goodness! It didn't take. I'll
These are the
reload
only
that.
2 I was able to pull up and
All right.
print out.
Okay, if I will go on my blog and repost those and put those up again.
Unless I didn't look at it correctly or something, but I couldn't find.
Stuff happens.
Dara,
Okay.
how do you feel about colon hydrotherapy?
Okay, who am I talking to?
Irene.
Irene, okay. I'm
Did
having
you
to
hear me?
switch between screens. Yeah, I can hear you. I was just trying to figure out who it was. I have to scroll around to be with the person who's talking to me. I think when you are doing a major program, doing an enema morning and night is really good for 2 reasons. One, you're getting so much waste out and it can be really drippy. And when you're doing the detoxing programs, it's like you got so much to do. Hitting the toilet every 30, 40 minutes is a real pain. When you do an enema in the morning and you just clear that colon completely out, you don't have to go back to the toilet again until a little after lunch, probably. And so doing an enema morning and night really frees you up. It gets everything cleared out and it just frees you up. I do not think it is healthy to do enemas all the time. It's a modality. We do them when we're doing a detox program. You can wreck your colon by doing them all the time because that peristalsis, that squeezing kneading motion, you're short circuiting that. And your body needs to produce the stool through normal channels. But when you are doing a detox program, it definitely gets you out of the bathroom and gets you back in your day so that you're not just chained to the toilet because your colon is completely full. I mean, you may have 3 bowel movements right around, in the morning, and that's actually the same colon dumping, but it's 3 different dumps as it works its way across and you're getting the whole colon emptied. So just getting it all emptied out with an enema isn't a bad idea. It's actually really good. If people will do it, it works great. When I first came in, the woman who was tutoring me, she had morning and evening enemas, and I did them, and I could not believe all the waste that came out of me morning and night. It was like, how can this much actually still be in me? I'm not eating anything.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
am juice fasting, and I mean, we're talking about filling up the bowl twice a day easily.
Well,
And
I
not
think
to
what
be
she,
crude,
I think
people.
what she was
Sorry.
her question, I think if what she was alluding to was not animals, but colon hydrotherapy, where you go in and you get hooked up. That's
Oh,
something
oh, those
I
are great.
I was looking at that quite a few years ago, just because I thought, this is probably something good to get cleaned up. Because again, I don't have any, I've been regular all my life, 3 to 5 bowel movements a day, no health issues or nothing. But I thought, well, hey, we're just like a
Yeah.
car, we get dirty too. So out here in Portland, they happen to have the largest naturopathic college in the United States, and there was a gal that
Lucky
was
people.
providing that independently from them. And I never got around to going in. And when I did try to, then they said that service no longer offered. So that is something I was kind of curious too. And then that's what I thought she was inquiring about, was hooking up to those machines. Because I thought, man, putting a lot of pressure into your system,
Oh,
like
I think that they're great. If you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing, I worked with a hydrotherapist, a colon hydrotherapist here locally years ago. They shut down that place. I can't even find one anymore. But it was wonderful. I mean, talk about getting cleaned out, and she went so deep, and she knew her stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, she knew what she was doing. If you work with somebody who really knows what they're doing and has an understanding of the cleansing that they're giving you, you can really, I mean, I could see the liver dumps coming through. She used herbs, and the liver would just dump. You could see the liver dumps coming, through the tube, the clear tube and everything.
wow.
And it was amazing, and it was just wonderful. And I could feel it happening. And you have to relax and allow it to happen. I mean, you're letting waste out of you while you're laying on your side there, and it's all enclosed in the tube. And and it's a closed up system that they're working in you, but it's a little uncomfortable until you get used to it. It's an experience in itself, but working with a person who knows what they're doing, I think it's definitely beneficial. But it's not something that you do every day. It's something that you do maybe once a week, or for that you're doing for a reason. If you're detoxing yourself, you're giving yourself this treat. But it's not something that you will continually do, simply because the body needs to function normally.
Yeah, I was thinking just like once a year or once every 6 months. Of course, if you're introducing a toxic, it depends on how toxic your diet is too. If you have a good clean diet, you're going to require it less frequently. But still, if you have the perfect diet, you're still going to get a lot of problems.
This world is toxic. No matter
Yeah.
how perfect your diet is, the world is very toxic.
And then I had heard about, you got to watch out for certain people that, if they aren't cleaning their equipment properly or they're using the wrong liquids, there could be some serious problems. So,
Yeah,
You
Not to
you
yeah.
need to go to somebody reputable.
yeah,
yeah. You got to go meet your people and know, and just let the spirit lead you. It's amazing. You can walk in and be standing and talking to somebody and just go, nah, this ain't going to be it. And they
Yes.
can be as nice as they want to be, but
Right.
the spirit just speaks to you and says, no, this is not the answer. And you just extricate yourself and go. Learn to trust your gut feelings.
yeah.
You just have to learn to trust what you're feeling. Well, my dears, how are we doing? You guys comfortable with the idea of liver flushing and the ideas of what you need to be doing it for? It's definitely, but it's worth the effort. It really is. Liver flushing is invaluable. And after rereading that article today and speaking with somebody this morning who was telling me how they are so swollen and toxic and feeling that way, I'm realizing that it's the backed up liver. The liver just needs to get flushed through and get a healthier liver so that you don't retain the fluid. Well, next week we are going to do kidney flushing and everything about kidney flushing, a light and an intense kidney flushing program. So we'll talk about all that next week.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Sarah.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.
You're
now.
welcome, my dears.
Bye,
You guys take care of
everyone.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.